KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years. Matson and the Adahi Itanu program. Cars Plus reminds you to put your phone down while driving. Distractions won't get you there. Heads Up Guam, IP&E, Fueling Excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And steaks, ribs, seafood, and our famous fresh garden bar, Ruby Tuesday. Good times you can taste.
Right now on Primetime, a special session called by the governor was canceled after the legislature wants a public hearing held first. Plus, in an exclusive interview with KUAM News, the island's Rear Admiral says a recent call by local activists to pause all construction in an area is not likely. And also, a hearing is being held for a retired police officer and FBI task force member accused of dealing drugs and intimidating jurors.
Off day and good evening. A special legislative session called by the governor for today was promptly cut short by senators. The Magahaga is pushing a bill to sue major manufacturers for their role in allegedly contaminating local drinking water. But instead, senators decided to recess and hold back the measure until a public hearing can be held. Nestor Lecanto reports.
Governor Leon Guerrero's proposed legislation would authorize the Attorney General to hire special counsel to possibly join a growing number of states that are suing manufacturing giants such as 3M and DuPont for selling harmful chemicals that may have contaminated drinking water in communities across the country. Senator Amanda Shelton reads from the governor's letter explaining the urgency.
I am convinced that our window of opportunity to assert our position in any multi-district litigation is even smaller than I had initially believed. I have revised my bill entitled Protehi Ihanam Act of 2019, an act to protect the waters of the Guam, by authorizing the acquisition of specialized legal services on a contingency fee basis to assist in actions to ensure clean and safe water on Guam.
An emergency declaration by senators would have effectively waived the public hearing requirement, but instead, Vice Speaker Talina Nelson moved for a recess of the special session.
Madam Speaker, it has been brought to my attention that there has been a public hearing already scheduled by the oversight chair for this bill that has been referred to, and I'd like to make a motion that we recess until such time the public hearing is held, anticipated to be on July 8th.
Call for the roll call.
Senators voted 8-5 in favor of a recess. Meanwhile, in a letter to the governor Friday, the AG's office advised that the cases are already being consolidated and it's in Guam's best interest to act promptly. The AG says to delay could mean missing out on the first and potentially largest opportunity to obtain relief from the companies that participated in the contamination of our water resources. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
The special session will reconvene at the call of the Speaker. Guam's top military leader says an endangered fire tree at Anderson's Northwest Field is getting the protection it rightly deserves. But based on comments made by the commander of Joint Region Marianas in an exclusive interview with KUAM, a recent call by local activists to also pause all construction in the area is not likely. Once again, here's Nestor.
Admiral Shoshana Chatfield says military and civilian agencies have been working for years to save the declining tree, even taking steps to protect its saplings from foraging by wild pig and deer to preserve what's become an endangered species. But the new attention on the fire tree has also sparked renewed calls by activist groups and senators for a pause on all construction at the site of the live fire training range.
Anytime we encounter something that looks like it is of historic significance, that there is an immediate pause, that these procedures which have been previously outlined and agreed, we go through those procedures. And we have been fortunate that very smart and very dedicated professionals really took a look at what was known to be there and designed the ranges to contact as few of those sites as possible.
Northwest Field was chosen after public outcry about the initial site in Pagat. It forced the military to withdraw inside their gates, but activists have opposed the current location as well, citing its environmental and cultural value. Can you imagine a scenario where a firing range will not be built on that Northwest Field site?
I can tell you that the live fire training range complex is an integral and necessary part of the Marine Corps buildup. Bringing 5,000 Marines here to train is an important step. It's an agreed step between the government of the United States of America and the government of Japan, and it signifies our commitment to peace and security in the Pacific.
The Admiral said she can't stress enough how important it is that the Marines have the right training environment. The range might well be the most critical component.
Every Marine is a rifleman. Every Marine, even a lawyer in the United States Marine Corps, is first a rifleman. And when you have that heavy task of being America's 911 force, of having to be trained and ready to go at a moment's notice, that individual skill, that military profession of arms, being comfortable, not reacting to the sound of fire, but being focused on mission and trusting the Marine next to you. That's what's going to win our nation's conflicts.
In fact, a former Marine commandant told the Senate last year, if the Marines can't train, there's no reason to be here. What if there's no firing range?
Having those Marines here, trained and ready, is imperative. They absolutely need to be able to train to be here.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
In other news, Congressman Mike Nicholas hits the Southern Trail for a town hall meeting. One of the takeaways, the delegate says he favors paying war claims to the descendants of World War II survivors who passed before the current War Claims 2016 application cutoff. Chris Barnett reports.
It didn't take long for war claims to take center stage at Delegate Mike Nicholas's Southern Town Hall meeting in Inarajan. In response to a question about the timeline of the current war claims effort, Nicholas said he would encourage local legislation to pay war reparations to relatives of those who suffered during the Japanese occupation but died before the current war claims bill's 2016 application cutoff. The congressman, though, acknowledged that effort could be years away.
We're estimating that this current process, once we get the bill passed, maybe between 2 to 3 years, we should be able to clear all of those 3,600 claimants out of the system. And then everybody from 2016 before, who passed away before they were able to apply, create the local process there, and then use the same funding source to be able to pay them out.
Nicholas said the federal war claims effort essentially took a portion of Section 30 funds, taxes paid by federal employees and military while they're stationed on Guam, out of GovGuam's pocket and put it under federal control. The congressman said the war claims process would have been easier if it had been done through the local government in the first place. Nicholas pledged to work with the Speaker and the legislature to make sure the effort to pay claims to the descendants of survivors who died before 2016 sees the light of day.
Once those 3,000 are done, that's the law that we'll work on turning on the local switch so that same funding source just carries forward for the remaining people who suffered.
Agent Orange contamination on Guam, also a topic. Nicholas said the first step would be to get an admission by the federal government that the toxic herbicide, which is linked to cancers, birth defects, and immunodeficiencies, was indeed used on Guam. Nicholas points to his H.R. 1713, which he says would codify in law an admission by the federal government. Nicholas stressed that this would open the door to compensation for Agent Orange exposure. He also hinted that because Agent Orange may have been used over Guam's aquifer, larger awards for non-military personnel could be a possibility. One constituent asked the delegate what he is doing to let the feds know Guam doesn't want the same problems Okinawa experiences with U.S. Marines when those Marines are moved to Guam as part of the realignment of U.S. forces. Nicholas citing Okinawans' closeness to the Marine base as one of the major reasons why, quote, things blow up between Marines and Okinawans.
Our build up and where they're going to be situating the troops here is very different from how they're situated currently in Okinawa, and I think that might actually go a long way to preventing some of the problems that they've been experiencing out there.
For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
John Boom Manzanonia's defense attorney says they're trumped-up charges and wants the recusal of District Court of Guam Chief Judge Francis Hedinko Gatewood from presiding over his client's case. Today's hearing was supposed to be about a motion filed by the feds last Friday for the district court to reconsider Magistrate Judge Joaquin Manabusan's decision to grant John Boom Manzanonia home detention pending his trial scheduled for August 30th. Manzanonia faces a federal drug charge and another charge for allegedly intimidating jurors in the high-profile drug case of Raymond Martinez and Juanita Moser. The case ended in 2 mistrials on Guam and eventually moved to California. Martinez and Moser eventually pleaded guilty for their role in bringing in more than $2 million worth of meth to Guam. Manzanonia is a former longtime police officer and FBI task force member. The feds want him locked up until trial, describing him as a flight risk and danger to the community. Prior to this afternoon's hearing, however, his defense attorney, Jay Arreola, filed a motion not only opposing the Fed's request, but also to have Judge Tyrinko Gatewood recused and disqualified from the case because of her prior involvement in the Martinez-Moser cases.
We believe Judge Tyrinko Gatewood has already issued a decision which indicates her bias and prejudice against the defendant, Mr. Manzanonia. She's already made some comments on the record regarding this particular activity. More importantly, she presided over the trial and she is a potential witness. She knows who all the jurors were, she knows what was going on during that trial, and she conducted the initial investigation into this case. We feel it's appropriate under the rules of judicial conduct that she disqualify herself and that a new judge be appointed to hear this case. Not only does she harbor a particular bias against Mr. Manzanonia, she's also already made some rulings in the case and is aware of certain facts in the case before even Mr. Manzanonia was.
As for the Fed's motion to have him detained pending trial, Attorney Arreola says his client is no danger to the community and that Magistrate Judge Manabusan's order for conditions of release were stringent enough.
He is certainly not a danger to anybody. He's a law enforcement officer for over 36 years. He served our community fighting drugs and fighting the war against drugs. He's always been against drugs. He denies these charges. They are trumped-up charges.
Judge Tyrinko Gatewood continued the hearing until July 15th to allow the U.S. Attorney's Office time to respond to the motions and for Attorney Arreola to respond. Meanwhile, according to an informational report, Manzanonia has 3 registered firearms. While 1 was turned into GPD, the other 2 firearms were reported stolen or misplaced. As reported, Manzanonia's brother, William Manzanonia, also faces similar charges of intimidating jurors in the Martinez-Moser case. Additionally, juror Gregorio Takenko was indicted for contempt of court. The 3 were ordered to stay away from each other. A 23-year-old man was arrested for stabbing in Talofofo over the weekend. It was on Saturday when a 25-year-old man was brought to the Talofofo fire station and then transported to Naval Hospital. This morning, GPD confirmed an arrest was made. Police spokesperson Paul Tapao.
The officers assigned to the investigations within the duration of their tour of duty were able to identify and locate the suspect, who was identified as 23-year-old Alan Jesse Chaco Chafras, and he was charged for aggravated assault and the use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony.
Chafras was booked and confined. As for the victim, Tapao says he is still receiving medical attention, adding the situation could have been worse if it hadn't been for those who brought him to the fire station.
The nearest location where you can provide triage and immediate care and of course transport is the fire station, which is located in Talofofo. So immediate response and the action and the quick thinking of the victim and of course whoever assisted him really could, and I want to say saved his life, should it have taken a downward spiral towards something fatal.
Stay tuned, we're back with more news after the break.
There are more ways to experience Guam via KUAM News, giving you what you want, when you want, and how you want it. From smart devices, Alexa, what's in the news?
Here's your flash briefing.
Over the web, on mobile, on streaming platforms, with immersive, interactive formats, and via social media where it's more than just content, it's conversation. More ways to keep you informed and entertained, whenever you want it, wherever you are, on whatever device you're using.
Matson is in this community. We've been in this community for decades. We're going to be in this community for decades to come. Things will get busy, things will get quiet, but we're going to be here. We're your hometown carrier. And that matters to us.
Reliability is the core of our business. We take pride in ensuring that we arrive in Guam on time as scheduled.
artisans, our local employees who understand the market, who understand the business, and provide that hard work for you each and every day.
When we hold ourselves to high standards, our customers also hold us to high standards. We establish good business relationships that turn into friendships. That's why it's so important to be here and be trusted by your customers. We want you to trust Matson like your friend, like your family.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
Half a day, welcome to Two Lovers Point.
Half a day, I'm in the club.
Yo, Jay, you sure you want to be washing your car right now, man?
Not now, Kev. I'm watching Betsy, and she has to be spotless, bro.
Clouds are coming in fast.
It looks fine to me.
Look again.
It looks fine, Kevin. It looks fine.
You know what makes more sense than Guam's weather? Using your Bank of Guam credit card at any Shell station to save 6% on gas purchases. Call, click, or visit for more details. Make more sense. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Welcome back. In an historic event for the local church, Archbishop Michael Burns was formally recognized by Pope Francis as the shepherd of Guam's Catholic flock. As part of a special ceremony this weekend at the Vatican, Burns celebrated Mass with the Holy Father and other archbishops from around the world. They were presented with the pallium, a woolen band that's symbolic of their role in the archdiocese. Guam Chancellor Father Ron Richards.
It's made from sheep that are raised in a certain area of Italy, and the wool comes from that, and only so many are made a year, and it's representative of them being the shepherd of this sort of important diocese, and overseeing the running of that. He won't use it until the nuncio comes here, and we'll have a solemn liturgy here at the cathedral, and it'll be formally placed on him so that the people on the island can be a part of that.
The Archdiocese released a statement saying they are working with the Papal Nuncio to set a date for the local ceremony. Burns was appointed coadjutor Archbishop of Hagåtña in October of 2016, while his predecessor, Anthony Apron, was facing child sexual abuse charges. The Department of Public Works owes $1.3 million in employee back pay and unpaid vendor obligations. Up next, here's Julia Santos with a closer look.
Of the $1.3 million that the Department of Public Works owes, about $600,000 is in unpaid vendor contracts. $400,000 is listed as payment for Hanjin, a contractor who did construction work at the Chamorro Village that goes back to 1995. The remaining $200,000 is in various vendor contracts. DPW Director Vince Ariola says that he's unsure why his department still has the $200,000 for various vendors on their books, as those contracts have exceeded the statute, making these payables invalid.
As I understand, there's a statute that holds those payables for 3 years. And, you know, we met with DOA. They're not carrying them, the payables on their books. I'm not exactly sure why this department has been carrying it on their books since some as far back as 2004.
Director Ariola says that it's his position to write those payables off as soon as he can clear it with legal counsel. However, he says that the vendors, if they are inclined, can pursue remediation through the Government Claims Act. As for the monies owed to Hanjin, although there was an attempt by the legislature back in 2013 to pay the contractor for their work through Bill 18-32, the bill was not passed. At the time of the proposed legislation, the payment owed to Hanjin had already exceeded the statute of limitations. Of the $400,000 owed, just over $100,000 was in principal and over $200,000 in interest. Director Ariola is researching the case to understand why the payment was never made.
Surprisingly, it's not in litigation, but it's such a big amount. We certainly have to take a look at it. I want of course, get to the bottom of it. If those amounts are in fact due, we'll try to straighten that out.
The major outstanding debt is approximately $700,000 in back pay, sick, and annual leave and reasonable attorney fees that the Civil Service Commission awarded to Franklin Castro. The director says that his department does not have the funding and the matter is with the Magahaga.
The governor's office has been notified of that. I've talked to them, and they're very much aware of that.
But Director Arreola says he's working with the AG's office on a strategy to offset the $700,000 in taxpayer monies the CSC has granted Castro.
We are researching to see if he's had any jobs, any type of income, because that would be our position. Is if you've had income, then it would be a dollar-to-dollar offset. Assuming that there's a one-on-one write-off, that could conceivably go down. We don't know that number yet. I just spoke with the Attorney General about 2 weeks ago, and so we're waiting for information from Mr. Castro to determine that.
In Castro's case file, the CSC stated that his termination notice, quote, lacked the requisite specificity, end quote, as provided by GovGuam's personnel rules and regulations, and that an employee is entitled to written notice of the department's decision within 10 days after receipt of the employee's answer to the charge or charges. And what were the charges? In the case file document listed the following: refusal of failure to perform prescribed duties and responsibilities, unauthorized absence, misuse or theft of government property, and other misconduct not specifically listed. But the CSC ruled that Castro's final notice, quote, fails to provide the employee notice of the actual basis for the final adverse action, end quote. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Julius Santos.
A special art exhibit was unveiled at the Laddie of Freedom today. It will be available to visit for the rest of the month. Our Tomas Manglotnia reports.
The present is Fama Lawan. That's a message artist like Shelo de los Reyes wants to share.
It represents how we women have really come to this world, showing our strength and beauty.
Her two watercolor art pieces are part of the Fuetsen Magahaga Gallery at the Laddie of Freedom. The middle school teacher's work brings Simone and Dana Bollinger's book, Magwaiza Zu Nana Zensitata, to life. It's one of about 40 art pieces curated over the past month. Fellow artist Yeon Sung Park presents her mixed media piece featuring a Chamorro woman.
Guam is as a melting pot. So we are all women in hood, want to celebrating in this particular theme.
Acting Kaha director Jackie Balbus says artists like them are at the center of the exhibit. As she explains, Magahaga is not only political, it's deeply personal.
Women play a strong role in our community. They impact our lives and they have an important role in society.
The exhibit is open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and is free and open to the public. She hopes that young Chamorro women walk away with a lesson.
Believe in yourself and know that anything is possible.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tomas Manglotnia.
Red Lobster officially opened its doors on Guam. The local location, the 749th Red Lobster franchise, as the iconic American seafood chain continues its expansion outside of the continental U.S. The Guam restaurant is the 21st Red Lobster opened offshore since 2014. Red Lobster's Senior Director of International Operations, Jared Whitlow.
From this day forward, Guam is going to be able to experience sea-to-table quality seafood, prepared and served exceptionally fresh, prompt, personalized service from friendly seafood experts in this beautiful, clean, up-to-date restaurant that reflects our passion.
Dozens gathered today for the official ribbon cutting at the Tumon Sands Plaza. Red Lobster is an American casual seafood dining restaurant headquartered in Florida. Red Lobster is known for its wide variety of seafood dishes, including the Bar Harbor Lobster Bake, the Ultimate Feast and Seaside Shrimp Trio. All entrees are served with the popular Cheddar Bay biscuits. Local touches also added as the menu boasts shrimp kelaguen, finadeni, and yes, steamed white rice. Make sure to check out Chris Barnett and Lacey Martinez mukbang right now on our Facebook page. Stay tuned. Sports is coming up next.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
Half a day, naano si Judy Flores, Tauto Inalahan. I came here in 1957 when I was a child. My parents were hired as contract teachers, and I was immersed in the village life. I learned to speak Chamorro because everyone spoke Chamorro then. We do have more than just sun, sand, and shopping. We have a spirit here that people can definitely feel. The Hafaday spirit embodies the history, the culture, the language. Food is also a very important part of the culture. You offer food. That's the package altogether. The Hafaday spirit is how the people welcome a visitor, a stranger, and make them feel at home. And I've always felt that, especially in Inalahan, and I believe that the Hafaday Pledge is creating that throughout the island.
MTO, professional janitorial services with a warm hospitality touch. MTO gives that gift year-round. Pressure wash roofs, pressure wash driveways, lawn service, home cleaning, carpet restoration, office cleaning, commercial window cleaning, floor care. When cleaning is in order, MTO has you covered. Call 647-6861 to inquire on how you can receive the maintenance you deserve.
MTO, celebrating 30 years with you, Guam.
Pull, dip, pop, like it's your J-O-B. Cheesy Bites Pizza from Pizza Hut is back, people. Time to go to work on them before they're gone. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
The next generation Galaxy has arrived. See it and believe it. The Infinity O display is the most innovative Galaxy screen yet. Capture the wider world. Take stunning photos with a 123-degree field of vision. Use your phone to charge other wireless charging devices. Don't just stand out, stand apart.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. We get the show started tonight with the Pacific Games preview on our women's national paddling team getting ready for Apia, Samoa. Check it out. Guam's women's VA team have been training 5 days a week, incorporating weight training, land training, and running since last year, October, in preparation for the Pacific Games. The 10-woman crew will be representing Guam in the V1 and V6 for sprints and distance races.
We have done long distance trainings. We do a bunch of sprints. Most practices we try to get in a little bit of both. We do our best to keep our cardio up as much as possible, and pretty much helps us stay in shape and prep for the games.
5 paddlers on the team are returning from the Micro Games team that brought home 3 medals. Team Guam medaled in all 3 of the events they participated in, taking bronze in the 500 meters, silver in the 1500 meters, and a bronze medal for the 10-mile race.
A lot of the teams, it's their job in their nation to be a paddler. So they're 24/7 paddling. We all have jobs in school and practicing hard in our off hours, but we're working it. We're all elite athletes. We've been thinking national team, eat properly, sleep properly, work out properly, don't get injured. All these things are really important, and all of them are going to have an impact on that day.
Tahiti, New Caledonia, and Cook Islands swept the top 3 spots for the women's V1 race in the 500 meters at the last Pacific Games. Tahiti also took gold for the V6 500 meter sprints, while host country Papua New Guinea took gold for the 500 meter V12 race. Tahiti dominated the 20-kilometer V6 race by almost 3 minutes, crossing the line first for the 2015 gold medal.
Have to keep in mind that it's nothing like the competition here on Guam. We know that they're going to bring their absolute best from all over the different countries, and so we're just trying to get up there to try to match that level of intensity that everyone else has got going on. So our mindset is pretty much to push ourselves to our limits and try to break those boundaries and make our limits a little bit bigger.
Being a part of the national team is really important because we're representing Guam both on and off the field. We want to show them our half-a-day spirit and show them great competition on the field and hopefully make it to the podium.
Good luck to Guam's U18 boys rugby sevens team competing at the 3rd Asian Schools Rugby Sevens Championship in Malaysia. The tournament runs from July 3rd through the 4th. Participating teams include Hong Kong, China, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, and Guam. Team Guam defeated Mongolia 27-0 at the last tournament for the Shield.
Check out Triple J's spectacular